Hello, cycle breakers. Today we have an interview with Angela Cheng. She's the creator of the online Montessori bootcamp from HIC Parenting, and I'm very excited for this episode. It's just going to be me and her. Rachael is not here today. We miss her. We miss her so much. But next week we're going to be back with Rachael. The title of this episode is Montessori Homeschool and Montessori Home. Yes, you can have your house set up as a Montessori environment, and that does not mean that you are homeschooling. And yes, you can homeschool as well using Montessori, even if you're not a certified Montessori educator. You can still do it, and that's what Angela Cheng is here for, to enlighten us a little bit, to tell us how it works. And before we go there, this week, from September 2nd to September 4th, we are going to do the Montessori Bootcamp all over again. We did it last year. It was a blast. We are going to have a private Facebook group exclusive for the Montessori Bootcamp. And Angela Cheng, every day from the 2nd to the 4th, she's going to be in members area, enlighten us on how to set up our house in a Montessori environment to foster independence, to create and develop life skills. Or if you are looking to homeschool your children, I homeschooled the twins when they were in preschool, and I did it the Montessori way. She taught me how. And if you're looking to do so, then the Montessori Bootcamp is going to tell you how you can do it Montessori way with materials that you already have at home. Yes, you don't have to buy expensive materials to do Montessori. If you're interested on doing this Montessori Bootcamp, registration is open. All you have to do is open the description of this podcast episode, register for the Montessori Bootcamp, join our private Facebook group, and it is 50% off. 50% off. So there is a lot of great incentive for you guys to join, to be with us. I'm going to do it as well. I need to refresh some concepts, and then I cannot wait to see you in the private Facebook group. Hi, Angela.
Hi.
Thank you for accepting the invitation to be on the Parenting with Understanding podcast.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so why is it important to have a Montessori environment in our homes? What is the difference between a traditional environment and a Montessori environment?
Well, I love Montessori because it really respects the child and it follows the child with their natural development. So children who are between the ages of 0 and 6 really crave that independence. And you hear that with little kids who are constantly saying, I want to do that myself, all by myself, and how proud they are when they do things by themselves. And so in a Montessori home, a Montessori-inspired home environment, you can set up your home to allow your children to be more independent in their daily practical life tasks. The things that in a traditional home, maybe the parent is taking the upper hand with, they're, getting the child all of their food and cleaning up their dishes and cleaning up after their toys or helping them brush their teeth, things like that. Whereas in a Montessori environment at home, the child has the tools that are needed to be able to do that for themselves.
Yes. The reason why I came to you back in the day, 2 years ago, was because I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw two cute little girls. One of them was, at the time, the video was like, she was maybe 2.5. She was very young. And the other one was a little older. And then I saw in that little video that they were picking up after themselves. They were done eating, and then they were putting things in the dishwasher. They were very independent, and they were doing it after themselves. And I'm like, wow, like I wonder what this mom is doing that I'm not doing. Number one, my children is a 5 to for them to pick up their toys. It's a fight for them to take care of their responsibilities. Number two, my twins are pretty demanding. Like they follow me around, asking me for things all the time. And I saw just such independent girls, and they were younger than my kids. At least the video. They're not younger in real life, but in the video they were younger than my twins. And then that's why when I met you, and then I just fell in love with Montessori. And then after I got trained in Montessori, I started doing it at home, and it was a life-changing experience for all of us. There were less meltdowns during routine. The things were going faster because they knew what to do and how to do it. Of course, they still needed a little help because, they're little kids, but like the change on the environment was so much that I loved it. And thank you for teaching me how to bring Montessori to my home.
Yeah, it really is. It makes a huge change in your regular everyday life.
Yes. Okay, so now how old are your girls now?
They are 6 and 8.
6 and 8. Okay. So can you still do Montessori with an older child at home? Because on TikTok, on Instagram, you see a lot, the cute little toddlers doing Montessori kitchen, like playing in the Montessori kitchen or whatnot. But what about with a little older children? Can you still do Montessori at home?
Yes, you can be Montessori at home pretty much throughout your entire child's development. You see a lot more of the videos on Instagram of them younger because that's more impressive. It catches more eyes, to see a young child being able to do those things. But at 6 and 8, your child is able to do them to an even higher degree. So my 8-year-old now can make pancakes for the whole family, and she does her laundry completely independently from start to finish. She can decide when her clothes need to be washed. She takes them down there, she puts them in the washer, she sets it all up, then she switches them to the dryer, she takes them out of the dryer, she folds them, she puts them away, and I didn't have to say a word. So it is just the older children are still be able to have that independence, but they have learned so much over the years, scaffolded so many skills that now they can do even bigger projects all on their own.
And that just gives me so much hope for the future because I'm a parenting coach and I have parents of twins and teens. The main pain point for them is like, my twins and teens, they just don't take care of their responsibilities. It is a fight for them to clean up their room. It's a fight for them to clean up their mess in the bathroom. It's a fight for them to do their homework. And then I see Montessori and I see that, of course, like if we've been doing things for them all their childhood, and then they become twins and teens, and all of a sudden we expect them to know how to do everything themselves just because they're a little older. That's still an unrealistic expectation. But if they've been developing that independent skill, in that skill of independence all the way since the beginning, I imagine when your 8-year-old, I mean, she's almost a twin, next year when she's a twin, when she's a teenager, right? I don't think you're going to have problems, that kind of issue or problem to beg her to pick up her room or to take care of her things.
Yeah, when you have taught each skill separately, individually over years, and they have kind of built up that confidence that they know they can do it and they can do it well and they can do it all by themselves, they take pride in their skills. And so it's not as much of an argument, or you don't have to nag so much for things to get done because they know they can do it.
Another thing that I hear a lot, and I had that misconception as well before I encountered Montessori, it was that like, Montessori is so expensive because, like they sell you, the market sells you the idea that Montessori is just an expensive toy, that you buy overpriced wooden expensive toys. And then if you do buy them, then you brought Montessori to your house. Okay, so please tell us, is Montessori an expensive wooden kitchen, a functional expensive wooden kitchen, or what is it when it comes to Montessori at home?
No, it's not a thing that you buy or something that you just set up on a shelf and call it Montessori. Montessori parenting at home is really a mindset and a parenting philosophy that you follow where you're trusting that the child is working toward her own development and you are going to be observing and providing the things she needs to get there. So that doesn't necessarily mean fancy wooden toys or a child-sized kitchen. You can do all of that with things that you already have at home. I never had a child-sized kitchen for our girls. They always just used the lower shelves of our kitchen cupboards, and that worked just fine for them. They're very independent.
Matter of fact, I already went through the Montessori boot camp 2 years ago. All module one of the Montessori boot camp is how to set up the prepared environment. Because how Angela Chin said, it's not about the things that you have, it's about a method. And a method has to flow, if you're doing it in the house, with the house. So setting up the prepared environment is really important for Montessori. And in day one, in module one of the Montessori boot camp, she walks us through step by step how to set up that environment. Can you do it even if you have a tiny house?
Yes, it might even be easier if you have a tiny house because you have to get creative, but there's not as much space to work with. So it's some people find it easier to just use what they already have in a tiny house.
What about if you have a bigger house?
Yeah, so in a bigger home, you'll have more choices, which some people find difficult. Some people think that's a better option. But in the boot camp, we go over the things to think about first, the things to consider as your top priorities as you're making these changes and things that will best suit your own family and your own home.
Yes. Matter of fact, one of the bonuses is a checklist of what to go over on each area of the home. We started with the kitchen, and that was a game changer when it came to the twins following me around, asking me for a snack. So, but then, yes, there is a bonus inside members area. All you have to do is give us your email, and then Angela Ching will send that bonus to your email. You can go step by step, and in the module, she's going to tell you what to do on each space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we already know that Montessori doesn't have to be the expensive wooden kitchen, that it doesn't have to be, that you don't have to have all these options. You could do it in a reduced space. What about when people say, okay, so what is the difference between a house that is set up the Montessori way and a house that is set up the traditional way? I could tell you from my experience, but I want to know your thoughts first as the expert.
Yeah, so my thoughts are, I feel like in a Montessori home, because the children are able to do so many things independently, you don't have as many power struggles or arguments, or you really just build this relationship of teamwork where your child feels like a valuable part of your home community, your family. They know that they can do these things that they see the grown-ups doing, which is what they want to be doing. Little kids they see the adults in the home doing things, they want to do the same things. So having that the ability to put their own dishes in the dishwasher, just like mommy did, I think helps them to feel confident and really helps to nurture those relationships within the home of we are all part of this community together. We work together to keep this home clean and prepared for the next meal, prepared for the next day. And there's just a lot less power struggles and arguments and, I want to do that myself. Well, in a traditional home, your child still wants to do things themselves, but they don't have the tools because they might not have the child-sized furniture or child-sized tools that they can reach, or they just might not have the opportunity because the parent doesn't know that their child can be capable of doing these things if you prepare the environment appropriately to set them up for success.
One of people's parents' main concerns is keeping their children safe, right? What about like if they're on the stove, they're gonna burn themselves? The difference that I saw in my house is that when I set it up in a Montessori way, the house, it serves a functionality for my children. So it's not that I'm baby-proofing the house, so I'm keeping my children away from the house, but I'm preparing the house so they can move in the house. I hope I make sense. It's like you're not baby-proofing the house, you are house-proofing the
Yes.
house. House-proofing for your child. In a traditional environment, you may say, okay, so let's put a baby gate on the kitchen door so the kids would not come in and open cabinets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I learned Montessori is more like, okay, how can we set up the kitchen so they're able to function in the kitchen safely,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And that's a big difference that I saw in my house, because those baby gates work until they don't work anymore. I mean, when my twins were almost 2 years old, they were already jumping over the gate, and it wasn't safe because they're twins. So one was helping the other jump, and then the other would help the other one jump the other. It was not safe. So they work until they don't work anymore. If you don't house-proof your house for your children to move freely, then yeah, you're going to have a lot of struggles when it comes to the 2, 3, 4-year-old season, especially the 2 and 3-year-old season. Then that they're still a danger to themselves and others, but at the same time they're big and they're able to jump over baby gates. Okay, let's move on to homeschooling. A lot of parents here, they're getting ready to send their kids to school. Many of them are searching for schools. Many of them decided to do homeschooling, maybe preschool or kindergarten, or just to start homeschooling. But the struggle is real when it comes to, okay, I'm not a certified teacher. Can I do homeschooling without being a teacher? Can I do Montessori without being a certified Montessori teacher?
Yeah, so that's what's so great about the boot camp is that we go through the steps for setting up your own home learning environment and the things that you want to look out for when you're preparing learning materials. But really your top guide as a Montessori homeschooler is your child, because Montessori education is very tailored to the individual child. You follow the child. So that means you are observing your child to see what he needs, what he's interested in at the time, and then you're preparing your materials according to your own child. And in the bootcamp, we go through the different variables that you want to consider as you're putting together a Montessori-inspired work tray. But as long as you have that relationship with your child, that you can observe them and see what their needs are, and then figure out how to incorporate that in your learning environment, then that is what you need to do Montessori homeschooling.
Okay, so I homeschooled the twins for preschool, and then I didn't homeschool them anymore just because I worked full time, and it was, they started first grade. So now they're going to public school because I cannot afford Montessori school. I wish I could. But the question is, if you are doing Montessori right now, let's just say you're doing a Montessori preschool, but then you're planning into sending your kids to public school, would that make them confused? Would that still be a good thing?
Okay. So yes, my children, I homeschooled them for the preschool years because that's what my training is in. And then when they started kindergarten, they began going to our local public school. So they're both in public elementary school right now. What I have seen is that Montessori in the preschool years, even if you are moving on to a traditional school in the future, it really prepares you so well for any environment, really. But you will go into your public school or your kindergarten, your first grade, whenever you're starting, you will be advanced. You will have fine motor skills that a lot of the children in the regular kindergarten won't have, just because they won't have been exercising them for their entire preschool years. And they will also be far advanced in things like the letter sounds and understanding numbers and quantities. And so they will really be able to take a leadership role once they get to the public school, and they will be the ones that are helping the other students, which is an important part of the elementary years. That's what they're looking for in the second plane of development, which is the ages from 6 to 12, where they're finding their place in a group, taking on a leadership role, and kind of, mixing with other people and forming communities in that way. So I have seen great results from having a Montessori homeschool preschool beginning and then moving on to a public school.
Me too. How I said, I did Montessori preschool with the twins. When they enter kindergarten, they were already reading. And I wasn't even forcing them to, okay, you need to read by the time you start kindergarten. No, it was just the natural progression of what we were doing in the Montessori homeschool. And yes, that helped them with a head start, because when children enter school, they're figuring out their social environment, they're figuring out how they're going to fit in. There are so many things that they need to figure out, and then to put something, at least one thing after play that helps them a lot.
Yeah, and I'd also say that I think that having a foundation in Montessori education helps them to become lifelong learners and kids who are interested in learning new things because they had such a great way to begin where they were really their interests were being followed and they were learning about things that really matter to them. Then even when they go into a public school, they come home at night and they choose books from the library that fit their interests, nonfiction books, and they're really learning things on their own after that because you've developed this lifelong love of learning.
Okay, Angela, so last words. If you were to say a parent who is thinking, okay, I'm very interested on this Montessori thing, what would you tell them right now?
I would tell them to take the Montessori boot camp because we go through all of the basics that you need to know, and it really gives you a head start and getting started with your own Montessori journey at home. Those things that you do see on Instagram and on TikTok, those are possible in your house. You just need the tools to prepare your environment to let that happen.
And for the ones who are already registering, remember to join the private Facebook group exclusive for the Montessori Bootcamp. Only Montessori Bootcampers are going to be in there. Last year or 2 years ago when we did it, people were taking pictures of their transformation in their kitchen, take pictures of their kids, helping them setting up their new prepared environment, their new homeschooling. It was such a blast. So I highly encourage you to to be part of this private Facebook group and to be in the Montessori Bootcamp. Again, you can open the description and register there, or you can register on High Impact Club on Instagram, on TikTok, in the link in our bio. If people want to follow you, Angela, where can they follow you?
I'm on Instagram at Angela Montessori. So it's ANGELA MOMTESSORI. And I also have a blog where I post a lot of do-it-yourself activities. That's montessorilife.com.
Okay, that's awesome. Are you enjoying the Parenting with Understanding podcast? Don't forget to leave us a review and let us know how listening to us every week has helped you with your parenting. Thank you for being here. Remember to follow us. Follow Rachael, the Considerate Mama, on Instagram, on TikTok. Follow me, High Impact Club, on TikTok, on Instagram, and Montessori on Instagram as well. Okay, remember, it only takes understanding to transform your parenting. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah, bye. Thanks for having me.